There she is.
Hey.
I think she's locked. I think her screen is
frozen, which is great. It means we can talk about her and she can't say anything.
But can she hear you?
Did you say thunder cunt?
Yes. Now she's got the prime spot.
How about now? Fuck that shit.
Yeah. Good evening, weirdos, and welcome to another fantastic episode of LIVIN CRUDDY. I'm your temporary host, Handsome Jimmy. I'm joined, of course, by Mayor McRoyd and the glorious Thunder Cunt. Light him up. This week, our guest is the one and only Bass Invader. He's a referee for the Pub City Roller Derby, a fantastic all-around guy, an amateur phrenologist, and the mayor of Riviera Beach. Please welcome Mark Parenti, a.k.a. Sparky Trash.
Woohoo!
What's up?
Thanks.
So that's actually Dub City, as in L Dub, Lake Worth, Dub, L, like Dub City.
And we've done in the past a few old friends, nobody quite as close as you, I don't think. People seem to have an interest in like these crazy stories of what we did in Florida back in the day.
Yeah.
And to this point, there's been nobody to verify this shit. So as far as everybody's concerned, I'm just making shit up.
Oh,
so.
I can verify. Okay. And I even found some interesting things here that I thought we might touch on a few of. I went through all my old stubs and I pulled I think most of them that I think Gene, you and I went to together.
Oh yeah.
And I think I found a couple that maybe the Roids opened, like opener shows.
Oh really?
Yeah, like I think maybe the Roids opened. How about MDC and the Big Thing?
Yeah, we played that.
Okay, I have that stub.
Awesome.
And so that is from May of 1988.
Okay.
And how about DRI Creator and Holy Terrors? I thought maybe that was another Roid show.
No, that was I think it was the Summers on the Beach that.
Right, it's Summers. Okay. From also, I can barely see the date, but it looks like August '88. I know every time you saw the Ramones, I wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure every time I saw the Ramones, maybe with the exception of one time, you were there. So I got a bunch of different Ramones.
That's some star-crossed lover shit right there.
So I think that, I mean, I got a Ramones from November of '88, but a local band, a Miami band called Amazing Grace played with them. You remember them, Gene?
Of course, I still have their record.
Yeah, I have the record too. And so I got a Ramones from 1990, Club New, also with Amazing Grace. Oh, I got Visage in Orlando in 1990, Cameo 1991, and The Edge 1994.
Do you have Club 1, 2, 3, 4 with when they play with Corrosion of Conformity?
We probably went together, but I don't have. These are the stubs that made it through all these years with me. Right. I don't have every stub, but I do have a lot of them.
I know Ticketmaster would give you would attend the Ramones, but they would give you a ticket for fucking Agnostic Front or some shit. You know, they would always mix them up.
Yeah, definitely. This is the first concert I went to ever. We did not go to this one together. Can you all see that?
I know that show. That was St. Lucie and Def Leppard opened up, right?
Yeah, it was Def Leppard, High and Dry. It's so September 1981. The ticket was $8.50.
Wow.
So also Randy Rhoads was still alive at that point. So it was Blizzard of Oz tour and it was High and Dry for Def Leppard. I didn't know about Def Leppard, so I remember riding my bike to the Twin City Mall, you know, the Music Smith there.
Oh yeah.
And buying the album the next day.
Everybody knocks Def Leppard, but that's a great record.
That is a good
record.
It's
a great record. I still love it till this day.
Hard rocking, great sounding. Yeah. If you like AC/DC, that's a good record. So
yeah.
I wasn't at that show. I had friends that went to it. I couldn't get up to Port St. Lucie, but I did go to when they played at the Orange Bowl the day before Randy Rhoads died. And then they canceled Ozzy and I got to see fucking Pat Travers instead, which was
yeah.
They swapped out Ozzy.
He played in Florida like every weekend at that time.
I know. He lived in Florida. He lived in Orlando.
Yeah. You probably remember this one. This was Iggy Pop and Jane's Addiction open. Do you remember this, Gene?
Oh, I remember that. You and I went, and that was at Summers on the Beach.
That was Summers on the Beach, October 21st, 1988.
That was a show that was like kind of legendary.
How about Danzig 88 at the Cameo? We had to have gone to this together.
Yep. We went to that together.
Circus of Power, Button South, 1990.
Yep.
Probably. Circus of Power later in 1990. Masters of Reality. This was the one.
Yeah, that was a great show, that one.
And that Ginger Baker played drums that night, right?
Yeah, that was like the only time I ever came close to seeing Ginger Baker was that show. So that was, and then what's his name? Daniel Ray, the guy that was the secret weapon of the Ramones, played guitar.
What about Muskrat Love 76?
A little bit before our time.
I was a fucking fetus in 1988. Jesus.
Yeah, we saw some good shows. I got a Rollins from '92.
I think he came right back after that and played with the Descendants.
So then I got another. This is a Rollins from '92. How about this show? Beastie Boys, Rollins Band, and Cypress Hill.
I remember that, but I didn't go.
I thought we went to that together. How about Susie and the Banshees? We went to this together, I think.
Yeah, I saw. There was a run of those shows. We saw Susie and the Banshees, the Dead Boys, the Damned, and Cramps, all that. Yeah. There was like a run of like those big shows.
How about I got a Helmet from '93. I think we went to this one together.
Yep.
Yeah, Helmet, Edge, and Butthole Surfers and Stone Temple Pilots. Maybe.
I didn't go to that.
Okay.
I didn't even know they played together. That's weird.
Here we. And this is another Rollins with Helmet. Look at this one.
I was at that. That was an outdoor show. I went to that.
Yeah, I think we went to this one together.
That was the one when you were hanging out with Steve Stevens. I don't even remember what the fuck her name was, but Trish. Yeah, I thought of that name.
Who we met at the Iggy Pop Jane's Addiction show.
Right, Trish.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's a name I haven't thought of in like 25 years. But that show I would put in like top 2 shows I've ever seen.
Really?
What was it? I couldn't see the ticket. What was it?
It was the Cramps at Club New.
Or sometimes I would write on the back who else played. I don't remember who else played with them that night.
That was a band called Dash Rip Rock.
Oh, okay. I'm pretty sure we were up top, but we were right on the side of the stage, so we had like a bird's eye view.
I went down and I have a ton of photos from dead center front row. Yeah. Actually, I was just showing those to Thundercut the other night, and it was.
I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Yeah. How do you remember who opened whatever in 19 whatever?
This was important stuff, man.
I don't have the stub, but I'm pretty sure we went to Motorhead, Slayer, Overkill.
Oh, yeah. I got stuck in the Cameo parking lot with Boomer because he left his fucking keys in the car. And I ended up staying until like 2 or 3 in the morning because he would not break his fucking window. We had to walk the streets of Miami Beach to find a fucking coat hanger, which we eventually found. That was crazy, but that was a good show. My ears are still ringing.
Yeah, that was a good show. I was pretty sure most of those we went to together.
I know we saw a lot of like just local shit.
Well, I mean, even back in those days, we used to see Marilyn Manson pretty regularly. I thought back then they were pretty awesome. I mean, especially back in the days when they had just the drum machine. You remember that, Gene?
I know that it was a different than what it became. You and Michelle were like in and friends with those guys, and I just knew him as the dude that worked at Peaches.
No, I mean, we were friends mostly with Brad, the bass player. And
okay, now what name did he go by?
Gidget Geen.
Gidget. So are you talking about Jordy then?
No, Jordy came after him. Jordy replaced him.
What was Jordy's name?
Jordy was Twiggy Ramirez.
Twiggy. Okay, that's I knew Jordy.
Right, because Jordy was in Ambugalard.
Yeah, I remember him from Ambugalard. And it took me years to figure out that was the same dude.
Yeah, so then like probably when we first met was when Gene and I met WNTL, which was our local pirate underground radio station. Thanks, Rattlehead. It was really cool about playing local bands and having like local musicians guest DJ and stuff. So I would hear the Roids, and it was like I loved them so much. And then we eventually met up through, back in those days we had, like a lot of bands we had warehouses, so sometimes Friday nights, you'd have practice, maybe have some cases or a keg or something. And I'm pretty sure that's what led to Gene and I, crossing paths.
You played a show with PUI. It had to be in the middle of the winter. It was like out in the woods someplace. And that was the first time I met you. And you were probably well inebriated at that point, but I knew Ron from Intruder. Then when we went and hung out with Ron, I ended up talking to you. And then you and I were like,
hey, Gino.
Yeah.
Is he going to lose one more shirt and it'll be Diamonds in the Rough?
I don't think Mark knows about Diamonds in the Rough.
What's Diamonds in the Rough? I don't know. About that.
What is Diamonds in the Rough, Gene? Can you explain that to him?
Diamonds in the Rough. Well, you remember I worked at the pool place, right?
Oh, yeah.
I worked there, and there were some guys that were some rappers, and they were like, oh, hey, man, you play guitar. Can you come play guitar on our record? And they were called Diamonds in the Rough, and these clowns get a kick out of that I played on this fucking.
I don't remember that. I don't know if y'all have heard like a lot of Roid stuff, but the Roids, in the words of the almighty El Duce, the Roids rocked. The Roids rocked. I mean, they were fucking, put it this way. If things were like they are, I mean, you know, back in those days, we had no YouTube, we had no internet. It was, you know, how it was just demos, and the Roids were fucking badass. But it was just like, nobody knew about them. You know, you had to really, as you know, you had to get really, really lucky. The Roids they were up there as far as that time in our area. They were probably my favorite band. But they were straight up, you know, just punk rock, but with so much balls. And, you know, Gene was a fucking badass frontman, and Bootleg Bill, I mean, super underrated. Musicians, you know, recognized how awesome he was. You know, Tony and Boomer were also super amazing backline. The Roids were amazing. So I don't know how much y'all have heard of it, or Gene, what you have left as far as was just the CDs, or do you still have some demo stuff? Or
well, the demos never to me added up to what the band was, so I never even really talked about it with anybody. As a matter of fact, I probably never even mentioned the band The Roids to Jimmy.
Oh, I've heard it.
You've heard of the name, I'm sure. I remember being like impressed that I could even be part of something like that. Mostly, you know, you have to give hats off to Bill for being pretty well there. I mean, he kind of dragged us along for a year or two, but then we kind of, you know, caught up with him. But I can remember going to rehearsals and shit and being like, holy shit, I can't even believe I'm part of this shit. I'll be honest, he was such an asshole. It's really just kind of like put a dark stamp on the whole fucking thing for me to even kind of remember back. The recordings they never lived up to what we did live. So it's kind of like this. If you were there, like Mark was, you'll remember that it was like something special. If I played you a CD or a DVD right now, you'd be like, oh, that's just some shit. Just had to be there.
I'm glad I was there. Also around that time, you know, when I met Gene, I was into a lot of punk rock, but more on the metal side. You know, I was into like the punk rock bands everybody knew. Ramones, Cramps, The Clash. So Gene definitely turned me on to a lot of bands that I was thinking about it, like bands like Masters of Reality, The Proletariat, The Skulls.
We shared a bunch of stuff then. I mean, we were definitely both into pretty much the exact same shit. So we kind of came up on. I just happened to be lucky enough to, instead of going to see an Iron Maiden at the Sportatorium, I went and saw Johnny Thunders at the Cameo and got to see the Skulls.
There he is. There's Eddie.
Yeah.
I was at the Sportatorium, but we didn't figure that out till years later.
Yeah.
I
remember that you were, I don't know if it's still the case, but you were like Johnny Thunders was your guy. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if that's still the case.
Oh, yeah. I think my appreciation of different kinds of music has, you know, certainly expanded. You know, even things like some of the first albums I ever had, like Gary Newman, things like that are still a huge part of my collection that I go back to a lot.
Good music never stops being good music.
Yeah, no doubt. We had some good times and a lot of crazy times. I'm going to say out of our little crew, Gene was always like the most sensible. He was always like, he had definitely liked to have a good time, but he definitely, I think we would have been probably in jail or hurt people if Gene didn't sort of corral us all in sometimes. So,
you got to imagine at the time that I was like, not really much any different than I am now, but Mark, I think if he would have met Guns N' Roses, they would have been jealous because he had like the craziest fucking long hair and was like, couldn't even walk down the street. Like 17 females follow him right out. They just come right out of their houses. Like, oh, look at that hair. And they'd be like stroking his hair and shit.
Must be a rock star.
Yeah, things were so different back then. It was definitely a good time to be into that scene, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, we hit that right at the perfect time.
I started roller derby in 2013.
How did you end up hooking that up? How did that happen?
Actually, I had a friend who started skating. We were somewhere some night, and she was like, "Oh, blah blah blah." You know, I started playing roller derby, and I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, that sounds awesome." You know, or was it here? You know, and she's like, "Yeah, we have games here locally. You know, and we travel." And I was like, next time you have a home game or when there's going to be a game, like, let me know. I would love to come and check it out. So, you know, maybe I missed one or two, but at some point I made it to a game. Thought it was awesome. I liked it right away. I think maybe I started following them on Facebook. Maybe a month or so later, they recruiting and looking for like referees and folks that are game officials that are not on skates. I thought I would give it a shot, and I really liked it right away. So that's pretty much how I got started there.
Require any kind of crazy certification or training, or they just throw you in there?
Back when I first started in 2013 with Dub City, they were right now the body that governs most of the roller derby in the world is called the WFTDA, which stands for Women's Flat Track Derby Association, and they were not the Dub City was not a member yet. They were basically just like what they call a rec league, or more. They just were doing their own thing. So you know, there's some things you have to establish with the governing body to be able to be a member. You know, as far as safety, you know, kind of thing. they'd been at it for a few years. So there's some training. I definitely got some training there. And then I started traveling. And once I started traveling, I was able to learn some other things from other folks that had been in it for a while longer. And, there's an extensive rule book and things, but,
So you're saying they hazed you pretty bad?
No. The camaraderie of it, the culture of everything is very punk rockish to me. It's very similar to experiences I've had with music, and it's kind of like it's not real mainstream in a lot of ways. For musicians and people that are into alternative things, and I thought it was like a perfect fit. At least for me anyway.
So you came into it with skating experience already, though, right?
Not much. I thought I was okay, but when I got there and realized, you need some more. I had to work on that for a while before I was ready to actually, do games and things.
So it's more than skating in a circle to enter Sandman?
It doesn't mean that you can do a better job than somebody that's not. But it just means you passed, certain criteria. A lot of folks just in Nashville and West Palm Beach and Australia or Denver or all over the world, some folks just stay local and, they just play home team games. And then you have some folks, whether they're skaters or officials, they travel all over and are highly competitive, worldwide rankings. And even as far as getting staffed if you keep a record of all the games that you've done, it's almost like a resume. It's a look at what you've actually done. And quantity doesn't always equal quality. If they don't know you, if they've never, refed with you or seen you before, and you're applying for a tournament in Eugene, Oregon, or San Francisco, or Denver, or Philadelphia, or Montreal, they need something to go on. So there's a certification process, but you don't need that to do games and be affiliated with a team or anything like that.
And when you go and do the traveling stuff, is that because you're a coveted referee, or how does that work?
It's extremely difficult. There's a season and a rankings process. Things are completely scattered right now there because of everything that's happened with the COVID, of course. But up until last year, when all that happened, the competitive season would run from January through June. And on June 30th, the rankings would close. Playoffs would be seeded. Playoff locations, it got whittled down to 2 playoff locations. It's like bracketed tournaments. Like the top 3 finishers would move on to the championships. And this would go on maybe during the months of August, September. And then the championships were usually there's probably a couple, 200-300 applications for maybe 20 spots. So it's not easy. It took me 3 or 4 years of regularly traveling all over the country, and even outside of the country, some I've been to Toronto and the Montreal a couple of times. And the first couple of times I was staffed, I was what they call an alternate ref, which means you basically observe and you're there in case and people do get hurt sometimes, or they get sick, or they get hit or knocked out, and you have to jump in. I did that for a couple of times, a bit of an entry into it, to see sort of how it is, because you have teams that are ranked from all over the world, like maybe up into the 200s and 300s, and only the elite of the elite, maybe the top 20 make it into playoffs, and then only like maybe 10 teams get to the championship. It took me a couple of years of being an alt ref, and then I made it to like what's almost like a Division II playoff. After I did that, I made it into the top level playoffs, and then I got to do, in the last year before everything closed down, I actually got to ref at the championships, which was really like my ultimate. I wanted to do that all along. I was fortunate and really happy that I was able to do that. The other thing that happened along the way was, as a referee, I would naturally, you notice a lot of things that teams are doing. Some smart teams are always trying to, just like in all sports, trying to find ways to game the rules, to, integrate new strategies and things. So I learned a lot just watching, because teams might play, 10 games a year, 8-10 games a year, 6 games, and a game official, a referee, might ref 50 or 60, 80 games a year. So your exposure to the game, you're seeing a lot more than maybe a typical skater. So I became interested in coaching as well. So that led me to, I started to do that a little bit, which has also been really pretty cool part of it for me.
Is that what your you're gonna move into, or?
I still like to do both. I'm not.
So
Go ahead.
Are the team names more like regionally affiliated, or is it each team comes up with their own?
Each team comes up with their own. They have their own board of in most cases, they have their own board of directors and structure on like the top charter. And then you have leagues that might have 200 skaters. Like a huge league, like a league that's from New York that's called Gotham, or Portland that's called Rose City. They've got hundreds of skaters, and they have 3 or 4 different tiers. So they have their all-star travel team, and then they have like a B team and maybe a C team, and then they have a series of home teams also that can.
Because I'm kind of thinking the Rolling Thunder cunts sound pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Well, there is an actual team. I mean, you guys probably have you heard of anything? Does that ever come up locally?
Yeah, my wife actually went to a match or a game. What do you guys call it? What's it called? Is it called a game?
I call it a game. Like some of the old schoolers call it a bout, but
Okay.
You're going to hear game or bout. Yeah.
She went to one probably 2 or 3 years ago at the Municipal Arena, which, if you know that place here, it's like a giant concrete circle where I think Ted Nugent made an album.
Yeah, Double Live Gonzo.
Yeah. So it was before the pandemic. I don't know how it is now, but it certainly was alive.
And teams are the WFTDA is recently updated. They have a return to play policy. It's all predicated upon cases in each locale and rates of infection and things like that, because it's a full contact.
Everything's open here in Tennessee because we I don't know if you know this. We actually promoted our HVAC repairman to governor, and he decided that it would be a good idea to just open everything up.
Yeah, well, Florida.
That's right. Oh yeah, I forgot.
I'll rewind a little bit. If you wagered any money on ThunderCon asking a sports question tonight on the show, right, you would have won a fucking incredible amount of money, because there was typically no way that would ever happen.
Well, hey guys, I just found the roller derby name generator. Right. So if I put in Thunder Cunt, I get Tiny Comet, which I'm really offended.
Comment.
What do you get with Hanson Jimmy?
Yeah, what Hanson Jimmy?
Hang on now. Sorry, this is so fucking fascinating. No, here we go. Juggernaut Hit House.
Well, now you have to do me, of course.
Now, while you're doing that, so the Canadian leagues are full nude? Is that how that works?
No.
Oh, okay. It's just the titty bars up there.
I don't know. I didn't go there.
Are you ready, Gino?
Yes. What do we got?
You're the Jaeger Crusher.
Okay.
I win. Awesome. So that's a super cool gig you got, man, and it's definitely awesome that you've climbed the ranks and made it all the way to the big show.
Yeah,
I've never been to a derby game, but I've always thought it was kind of cool. I mean, I assume that there was like all kind of crazy shit going on at those.
No, I mean, not really. I mean, it's a full contact sport, but it's really it's not anything like what a lot of people remember from the old days.
Okay.
That had more of like a wrestling kind of feel to it. Although I will say, if anybody that here has seen the movie Whip It, there's many, got turned on to it from Whip It. It's more like Whip It, although Whip It is on a bank track. I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, but and we do our thing on a flat. There's only a few bank tracks in the country, so it's really prohibitive. It's not conducive for dozens and hundreds of teams. So there's a few teams, but there's only a few tracks available in the United States.
Yeah, I when I do see pictures of it, it's always on the flat track, and I've assumed that was probably the popular thing.
Yeah,
I think that movie kind of gives it like a rollerball feel when they have that. So,
definitely.
So are you still playing music at all?
No. I mean, I still have most of my equipment. Sometimes it comes up here and there, maybe doing something. The only thing I've done recently is, last year when we were on lockdown, Pooch and I both decided to get ukuleles. So, we just started fucking around with doing, all kinds of different shit. I still fool around now and then. I still have my gear. Most of the music I play is on the vinyl.
I think once a bass player, always a bass player, though. And you share that with Jimmy. You still have a big SVT?
No, I don't have that anymore.
That's what Jimmy hauls around.
I have a baby SVT, but I don't have the big one anymore.
7. I have a vintage all tube 67 with the rocker switches.
I definitely had one of those at one time.
I remember you had one in that little house apartment, and you had like a little shed on the patio, and you had like this massive, the size of a VW bus amp living in that thing.
I was thinking about it earlier because we were talking your Les Paul. I found that back in the days, I used to be able to find guitars at pawn shops. I found so many good guitars, but it was long before the internet had every bit of information possible. I hunted down some pretty awesome vintage gear. Yeah.
And that's, Jimmy, how I got that white Les Paul, the big one that's up in the room, the heavy guitar.
The 81. Yeah, the one when it looks, of course it's white, but it's actually sparkle white. If you look at it, used to be anyway. And I remember that guitar you had back before you were really playing guitar, when you were mostly just singing. Remember, it was green.
Did you just say before he was playing guitar, he was singing?
Uh-huh.
Would he have a fucking tambourine? What did you do?
I was telling you earlier that I enjoyed my voice doing vocals.
Right.
That's when I was doing it. Before any of this Creeping Crud stuff, I did one band where I just did vocals, and that was.
I would say more like Joey Ramone rather than Henry Rollins. Yeah, more Joey.
Leaning into the mic stand.
Right.
Oh, it was ridiculous. It was
trying to hide behind the mic stand.
It was absolutely absurd. My voice is destroyed from those days. I mean, my ears and my voice both gone.
We were roommates at one time also.
I remember staying with you on Forest Hill at the whatever that condo was. And then I was under the impression like, oh, Mark is sick of me living here, so I'm going to go find some other shitty place to go. And I remember moving for like one day. I moved for one day.
I don't remember.
I'm like, oh, I'll come back if you want me to. I'll get back and live.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, no. But Gene not only had all the good records, he had videotapes. Like I remember one of the other things Gene turned me onto was Another State of Mind. Like I had not even heard of that or seen that up to that point. Of course, Gene had that.
Now, of course, you remember the Ronnie Boyd getting out of jail parties that we had, right?
Oh my gosh, the Ronnie Boyd I remember we had a keg of Rolling Rock, and I remember him falling down, and there was a pot, like a cooking pot, and his mom was furious with us. And this is a grown man, probably 10 years older than us at the time. He fell down, and I think he cut his ear open, like on the edge of this pot. This sounds cruel, but he loved it. We used to take him to the liquor store, and we would pick out a bunch of little bottles, like airplane bottles. We would get a bunch of them. Gene and I would buy them, and we'd put them in a bag, and we called him RB. He would just spend, the next few hours picking bottles out of all, and it didn't matter what kind it was.
Oh, he got very treasured. You remember what that was called?
Goodie, something bag, RB, I don't know.
It was called RB's Suicide Packages.
That sounds really bad, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we were fucking kids, man. I mean, for us, it was just entertainment. Now, he was an adult who was pushing 30 at the time, and maybe should have known not to go get, 6 months in the stockade, but we had a good time when he got out, and it finally caught up with him. Rest in peace, RB, wherever you are.
Well, there were some crazy times. I can remember lighting fireworks off of, the steps. My little dumpy apartment, it had a window air conditioner. It was so bad. It was in the middle of a horrible part of town. Somebody leaned against the door one night. It was like Easter weekend, and the door broke off the hinges. You remember that, Gene?
Yeah, of course I remember that.
The door broke off the hinges. So it was like, my 90-pound body will protect my castle. So I had to sleep across the door. It was Easter Sunday, so nothing was open. It was just
except
crazy.
For your house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But back in those days, I had mentioned that WMTL, the pirate, underground radio station. So back then on Friday and Saturday nights, my little dumpy apartment was right by the beach here. And back then, everybody, all of us, anybody that was into music, you would just drive around in circles around Lake Worth Beach Drive, and everybody had WMTL on. Sometimes it ended up that everybody would come back to my little dumpy apartment because it was the big party house. So,
well, we've talked about the underground radio station a bunch of times on this podcast, and you can't understate how much of an impact that shit had on the local scene. It was like a unique thing to have in the middle of the age of FM, a guy that had an FM station that broadcast the entire county, and he was willing to play your band or let you come over and spin records or whatever the hell you want. Another story we've told a bunch of times. Did you go to the G.G. Allen thing up in Ybor? Were you part of that?
No.
Oh, you weren't?
I don't know why I didn't go to that. I don't know how I didn't go to that, but I didn't go to that, and I didn't go to the Royds game, and maybe there might have been more than one, but I never went to Gainesville with the Royds either.
If I asked you if you had any smokes, what would you say?
Well, I only know because I remember the story, which the answer would be, not for you, bitch.
Yeah, but not for you, bitch. To me, that's the ultimate Sparky Trash moment, was the yeah, but not for you, bitch, which it was so confounding. Yeah, but not for you, bitch. I'll read a couple lines from a song. All you have to do is tell me the name of the band and the name of the song. I got 2 lifelines for you. That would be Handsome Jimmy and Thundercunt. I kind of figure that you're probably one of the more musically educated people that we've had and have a pretty good chance of getting all these. But just in case you're drawing a blank, you can reach out to these 2. And I will pass along that both of them are terrible at this. So
I mean, it all depends what kind of music.
Well, it's going to be rock and roll.
Whatever. All right, cool.
Yeah, I don't know what you're saying, Jimmy.
I'm screwed.
I think Mark is going to power through this.
Yeah, I believe in you.
All right. So the first set of lyrics are, the lyric is, baby, 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 I fell from the sky. Yesterday, you blew my mind. Oh, yeah. Having trouble with my direction. What is the next line and the name of the band and the name of the song?
I know what song it is, and I know the artist, but and the next line is similar to those lines, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Baby, baby, baby,
Sing it.
I fell from the sky. Yesterday, you blew my mind. Oh, yeah. Having trouble with my direction.
Okay, Upside Down, Psychotic Reaction. It's the Cult, Love Removal Machine.
Fucking home run.
Okay.
Did you know that, Jimmy?
I did know that song, yes.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's this. Right?
No, that's the first time we've had that where somebody nailed the song and had the record handy.
It's pretty amazing.
He did so well that he knocked Thundercunt out of the room.
Right off the podcast.
Right out of the show. In case you missed it, he nailed it, and he even had the record to show us what it was, which is the first time that's ever happened.
Of course he did. That's awesome, though. It's great.
The next one, the Body and Beats, I stain my sheets. I don't even know why. My girlfriend, she's at the end. Body and Beats, I stain my sheets. I don't even know why. My girlfriend, she's at the end. And you have 2 lifelines in case you can't remember.
I'll go to TC first.
She is starting to cry. Violent Femmes, Blister in the Sun.
That's 100% correct.
Okay.
I can't believe Mark didn't get that, because I remember very specifically you would sit there and fucking play that song with your acoustic guitar fucking endlessly. Oh, you just play that song over and over and over and over.
I used to tell girls all the time, he's not saying big hands, I know you're the one. He's saying Jim Hansen, I know you're the one.
You mean he's not saying that? And I don't have that vinyl. I did it one time.
Oh, you definitely did. You may have played it to where it, like, the needle actually went through to the other side.
That could be.
Or 2 for 3 so far, right? That's good.
Yeah, two for 2 so far. Now this one, I think only Mark will get. Like, literally no chance you 2 will. And I don't know if Mark will either. The lyric is, never had no use for the good book, but the Bible tells me on Judgment Day bodies will fly. God the Father called me out on his own turf.
Oh yeah, I know what this is, but can you read it one more time?
Never had no use for the good book, but the Bible tells me on Judgment Day bodies will fly. God the Father called me out on his own turf.
This is some classic band, and I can't remember. Jimmy?
Jimmy, no here.
God, I know this.
Maybe Gene, maybe sing it like this, because you were a singer.
Oh, my voice is really fucked up right now. Never had no use for the good book, but the Bible tells me on Judgment Day bodies will fly. God the Father called me out on his own turf.
I'm pretty sure this is like a classic band, and because I know the song, I cannot think of it.
He sent his son to kick my ass sky high. The skulls, Jesus put a bullet through my soul. I thought for sure you would get that one, and you would be the only one that we could do that lyric.
You didn't turn them onto the skulls, Gene?
No.
Jimmy won't listen to anything I play.
No, I'll only listen to the songs you make up.
And then you forget those too.
Of course, I have that vinyl, but it's not behind me.
Well, I went on to become like friends for like 10 or 12 years with Mike Mindless.
Right. I knew you had mentioned it to me.
And he had a stroke last year and died. And he's gone now. All right, so we're on to the movie quotes.
Okay.
All you have to do is identify the movie and who said it. The first one is, and the same thing, you got 2 lifelines. First one is, all I have in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
Yeah, that's Tony Montana.
And what's the movie?
You know, Scarface.
You totally got it.
Station there, yeah.
All right. This one is, he has confessed all brothers, murder, use of forbidden tools, practice of prescribed rights, emits science, medicine, weapons, machinery, electricity. He has not shared the punishment. He does not bear the marks.
Definitely sounds familiar. Can you read it one more time?
He has confessed all brothers, murder, use of forbidden tools, practice of prescribed rights, emits science, medicine, weapons, machinery, electricity. He has not shared the punishment. He does not bear the marks.
I have a guess, but
what do you got?
TC, are you feeling this, or should I give it a guess?
I'm feeling Frankenstein, but I don't know what.
It could be. I'm trying to think of his. I'm trying to think the character's name. The actor would be De Niro from Cape Fear.
That's a good guess, but it's not correct. In the Omega Man, and it's not Heston, but he's talking to Heston. It's Matthias, who's played by Anthony Zerbe, who happens to be my mother's all-time favorite actor for some reason. Okay. And then finally, the last one. I was there, and I can prove it. When I was a kid, you could buy meat anywhere. Eggs they had, real butter, not this crap. And I'll give you a hint. In another part of the movie, he says something along the lines of, if I had real money, I would smoke 3 cigarettes instead of 1.
I don't know.
You don't know?
DC is a no. Jimmy?
I think this one is relevant to you in some way. It is Saul, Edward G. Robinson from Soylent Green. Didn't your dad have something to do?
If I remember right, I haven't thought about this in a long time. I think they recorded that in Philadelphia, and he had something to do with the set production.
Yeah, he's got a credit.
I haven't thought about that in probably like 25 years, but yeah.
Is this the part where Gino tells you more of your own history than you remember?
It absolutely is, apparently. All right, well, you did pretty good. You got 2 of the music ones and 1 of the, you got half and half. And we have one more thing left. You remember Mad Libs?
Yeah.
This is something called Nad Libs. And Thundercunt has this week's Sparky Trash version.
All right. Bear with me, because when the lights went out.
Do you all mutually discuss all these things together beforehand, or each person has a piece?
We just kind of wing it.
It's always winging it. Yeah. Because this was the first one in a while, we kind of touched base and see who was going to do what.
Does it look like he's punching me?
Yes, it does. And you've earned every punch.
All right, I need a number.
6.
Okay, I need an adjective.
Fugly.
Fugly. That's pretty good. I need a body part.
Bukyak.
What? Adjective.
Orange.
Another adjective.
Gigantic.
And a verb.
Running.
Another body part.
Kneecap.
Plural noun.
Hedgehogs.
No reading ahead.
Oh, man. I have to read it to find out what mode of transportation.
Train.
An annoying song.
Anything from Maroon 5.
I don't know anything about Maroon. Type of junk food.
French fries.
Article of clothing.
Brassiere.
A color.
Red.
Type of animal.
Lizard.
Awesome base model.
Jazz.
Here she comes.
Item of jewelry.
Ring.
Shitty base model.
Harmony.
Is that Jimmy's bass?
Maybe.
It wouldn't matter with an SVT.
That's right.
A known guitarist.
SRV. Stevie Ray.
No Gino Royd?
No, not me.
A known drummer.
Charlie Watts. You didn't say legendary. If it was legendary guitarist, it would be Gene.
That's right.
In his own mind.
Bad 80s metal song.
Cherry Pie.
You didn't say worse.
That's my kind of question right there.
A terrible 80s record.
Slippery when wet.
Oh, that's a bad one. Goddamn.
A Florida town.
Ocala.
A South American country.
Argentina.
A number.
16.
Read the top again.
It's just a loop.
The long one.
That's what she said.
A food item.
Okra.
70s girly magazine.
Hustler.
A terrible band.
The E Street Band.
Yes. Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Fuck them.
Bruce.
A fond name for a friend.
Bart.
Body part.
elbow.
I think we're done. If I missed something, I apologize. First time doing this.
All right.
What is a bukyak?
A bukyak is a slang Italian term for cunt.
Oh, so this is titled Sparky Joins the New York Dolls. Sadly, by the year 2021, 6 of the members of the New York Dolls had passed away. Arthur Fugly Kane died of a failed bukyak.
Actually, what happened?
Jerry Orange Nolan died of a ruptured kneecap, and Johnny Gigantic Thunders passed away after running too many hedgehogs.
Oh, no.
The surviving New York doll, David Johansen, decided to run an ad for new members so the band would be able to continue. This was the opportunity that Sparky Trash could not pass up. Sparky hopped in his train and drove all the way to New York City. The entire drive, Sparky listened to Maroon 5 on repeat and ate so many French fries, wiping his fingers on his brassiere that by the time he arrived in New York, he resembled a red, disheveled lizard.
Oh, man.
Upon pulling up to the rehearsal space, Sparky realized he left his jazz bass at home, and he had to pawn his ring to buy used harmony. David Johansen was not impressed. Stevie Ray Vaughan was there, flanked by Charlie Watts, and they were ready to go straight into a personality crisis, but Sparky had never learned the notes, so he tore into a slow version of Cherry Pie. The rest of the band joined in, then they went on to play the entire B-side of Slippery When Wet. The New York Dolls were back.
Uh-oh.
The subsequent tour consisted of stops in Ocala and Argentina. Every night of the tour, Sparky had to fight his way through 16 groupies to get back to his hotel room. Strung out on way too many okras from the 7-Eleven and lost in a downward spiral of Hustler magazine, Sparky decided to quit the New York Dolls. After the last show of the tour, he unstrapped his bass, handed it to a fan in the front row wearing an E Street Band shirt. Turns out that fan was handsome Jimmy Hansen. Sparky turned to Jimmy and said, "Here you go, Bart. The gig is all yours." Jimmy was so excited he needed a cigarette to calm his nerves. He looked at Sparky and asked if he had any smokes to spare. Sparky looked at his replacement square in the elbow and responded, "Yeah, but not for you, bitch."
Oh, Jimmy left.
He's already rehearsing with his harmony.
Yes, he went straight to New York. He's like, on his
No,
way.
he said he was wearing an E Street Band t-shirt. He's like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Well, that was a funny story, Sparky. I can't believe you tried out for the New York Dolls. You didn't tell me.
How about the time, remember, I remember that band, Violent Playground? I went down there and tried out for them. When we were starting to just get everything plugged in, they were talking about how much the Ramones sucked.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And I was done.
You were done.
Yeah.
Did you just back out of the room quietly?
I don't remember exactly what happened, but I definitely was done at that point.
You're like, "I had too many okras. I got the diarrhea. I gotta go."
Were you around for the end of the story, Jimmy?
No, I totally missed it. Something happened here. My network totally crashed.
Wow.
Well,
I'm back
congrats.
now.
With your E Street Band shirt and your harmony bass, you are now a member of the New York Dolls.
Right.
You finally
Bart.
made it.
What's up, guys? We're gonna make bread. So first I'll weigh my flour because it's real important to do that, and I put some salt right in it, okay? And then I'll mix it up with a little whisk, and then I'll put it together with some sugar and a little bit of yeast, right? Okay, there's some Red Star yeast. I really like that. It's active and it's dry, just like my sense of humor. So there it is. We're going to take that little 2 tablespoons or so of yeast, and we're going to put that into some water. And that water should be 115 degrees exactly by temperature gun you need. So, and then you're going to mix it in with that Earl and some sugar. And you're going to mix it up with the whisk real good. And then we're going to go super psychedelic here. There's some stuff happening. That's freaky-dicky, isn't it? Oh, the yeast is growing. It's growing. There you go. That's very exciting, isn't it? That's very exciting. The yeast is burping and farting. Then we're going to put some of that flour, half of the mix, into this, and we're going to mix it up, make what's called a poolish. I'm sure some communist made that up. Mix it up real good together, and then we're going to let it sit for about 15 minutes. And then we're going to take the rest of the flour, and we're going to put it into the mix, and we're going to beat the shit out of it for about 10 minutes, and roll it around, make it look real good. And then we're going to shove it in the oven on the proof setting. It's very important. It's like wet and moisty kind of air, just like your mama's pussy. Then we're going to let it smack it down so the air comes out. It's very important too. And then we're going to weigh out exactly 666 grams of dough. Then we're going to go ahead and put them back in and proof them again. But this time we're going to run with some egg and we're going to do some other things to them. And then we're going to put it in the oven at 375. The rolls look amazing. Oh, look at that bread.
Hey everybody! Hey, Vinny's gonna do some cooking too! Yay! What happens when you get 2 parts Home Alone, 1 part Big Lebowski, 1 part Cheers, and let's see, we'll do this as well. That is. Look at that one too. Yeah, this one as well. Yeah, okay. Okay, you mix them all together and you get 1984's Chud. Yup. The movie with all those mutant monsters eating up the homeless folks in the sewers, cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. Number 138 on my list, and it's a must-watch every October for me. There's a few future stars here as well. John Hurt and Daniel Stern from Home Alone. John Goodman has a small role as a cop that gets munched on by the Chuds, so there's your Big Lebowski reference. And Jay Thomas, who also had a recurring role in Cheers, he's his partner, and he also gets, he becomes Chud food as well. So it's a damn good flick that you should watch. Piss clams.
So, what are you wearing? Jesus Christ, Dewey. Sheila giggled, shaking her head. Are you wearing your robe? Sheila continued shaking her head and said nothing. Is it your pink robe or the razorback I got you in Arkansas? Still giggling, Sheila finally relented. The pink one, she whispered. And what, pervo? Jesus, like pulling teeth, Dewey laughed. What are you wearing underneath? A t-shirt. Is it your college t-shirt? You know damn well what t-shirt I sleep in, Sheila said. She could feel her cheeks starting to flush. And I'm not going to do this. And Cleveland. You're wearing the Indians? The excitement in his voice could not be mistaken. Originally from Akron, Dewey had been a huge baseball fan all his life. He had given Sheila Cleveland Indian panties as a joke. They mostly sat in the bottom of her underwear drawer, but on the rare occasion she threw them on, usually when laundry day was overdue. And they never failed to excite her husband. You don't wear the Indians nearly enough, my dear. There's a huge grinning Indian over my crotch. It's kind of weird. It's not weird. It's hot. No, Dewey. It's weird. Your ass looks great in those panties. Conversation over, Dewey. I love you, Sheila. I love you, too. I'll see you and your ass tomorrow.
Hey, McNasty. Who's your celebrity crush?
Does wanting to see the Kardashians crushed in a bizarre accident count?
Well, Dub Cities just resumed practice within the past couple of weeks. The WFTDA, I think, is determined they sanction games that count for rankings. And I don't think they're going to start sanctioning games probably until, definitely not this year, maybe at some point next year.
All right, weirdos, thanks for tuning in once again to another fantastic episode of Livin' Cruddy. I'm still not getting paid. I want to thank the gallbladderless Thundercunt for joining us. Of course, Mr. Gino Royd, who always brings it every week. And our fantastic guest, Sparky Trash. Thank you.
Is there any chance that we could see your Ramones tattoos on screen?
Will this work?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
There they are.
Holy crap.
See? Thanks, Pooch. Yeah.
In case you didn't notice, that what Jimmy said was Thunder had her beanbag taken out this past week. And
I was like snorting CBD oil the whole time. So we're going to watch it and see what happened.
God, I know this.
Maybe, Gene, maybe sing it like this.
Never had no use for the good book, but the Bible tells me on Judgment Day, bodies will fly. God the Father called me out on his own terms. He sent his son to kick my ass sky high. The skulls Jesus put a bullet through my soul.
Never had no use for the good book.